It's Saturday. Shady Rob, Indulgence in Death. We're only a couple of books away from. I I call it the worst book, but it's not. It's the crescendo. It's the pinnacle height of the storyline of the character progression. And for us, it's well written. It's a good book, but for those people who want to cry, this book is for you. New York to Dallas is for you. It will make you cry. It'll wrench your heart out. This is the hardest book. There was a couple of in the early beginning where Eve lost her batch. Conspiracy and Death, I think. I'm not exactly sure. Don't count me on it. But this one is the culmination of all the books of her background story. And New York to Death is just heart-wrenching for Eve to go through. We're only a couple books away from that. From this one, since we're only a couple books away from Heart Wrench, we're going to get some fun and enjoyment first. And hey, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina Carostiane. This is where I read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, no fancy much stuff going on here. So, Indulgence. We are on honeymoon vacation, anniversary honeymoon vacation. And Eve decided to do something for Roarke. Do something that he would like to do. If the previous books, couple of books ago, he met his family for the first time. He met this extended family for the first time. And they're like, welcome home, give hugs. They don't have their hand out. They're just welcome home. We knew about you, but we didn't think you wanted anything to do with us. And Moira introduced him. So thank you to Moira for opening the store for Roarke. That he went and researched and had hard time with Eve and the whole 9 yards. But now they have established a relationship, and they're in Ireland, and they're going to be with the family for a couple days. And you have to understand, my Eve Dallas is a lieutenant in the New York City Police and Security Department. Peabody is her partner. McNabb is Peabody's life partner, but he's also detective in EDD. Feeney is the captain of EDD. Roarke is her husband. Somerset's the major domo. Baxter and Trueheart are in her department. Mavis is a rock star, but she's her best friend. And Leonardo is Mavis's husband. Nadine is a reporter. She's also got a television show. This is Now, Happening Now, News Now. And she wrote the iCove book, which came out in the last book. And there's going to be more repercussions from that in the future. I don't think we see Trina in this. And, Mira, the department shrink. We will see Mira and Whitney, her boss. So anyway, and we're going to meet Siobhan here. Roarke's aunt, his mother's twin. And his mother was killed by his father, and that's why he did not know about these people, because his mother was killed when he was still an infant. So, Eve grew up in the foster care system, and in a foster care system that didn't like her, that was cruel. They always put her with cruel people. Don't know why, but that was just her luck of the draw, and Eve just accepted it. She never was given a gift. She never had socialization. She was never given anything. So, hanging out with Roarke the past couple of years, she's learning how to be social. She's evolving. She's gaining friends, Charles and Louise. And we do see them a little bit in the book too. But she's evolving. Her social circle is evolving. And so she's doing this. She's a city person. She's always been a city person. So that's why the first couple of chapters of this book are just like, you gotta see it. So anyways, you got your coffee, you got your breakfast going, you got your lunch going, you got your dinner going. Pretend this is unabridged audiobook where we don't talk plot, we just talk characters. The road was a killer, hardly wider than a decent stream of spit and snaking like a cobra between giant bushes loaded with strange flowers that resembled drops of blood. Only Eve would think of that. Only Eve. She had to remind herself that the trip had been her idea. Love another killer, but how could she have known driving in Western Ireland meant risking her life and limb at every curve? Rural Island, she thought, holding her breath as they zipped around the next turn on the journey of death. She can't handle the country. She just can't handle those little dirt roads with the 2 lanes, swerving and curving. When the murder road finally carved its way out of the blood-drop bushes, the world opened up into fields and hills and green and green and green against a sky with clouds that couldn't decide if they wanted to rain or just sit there. And she knew all those dots over the green were sheep and cow. Oh my God, sheep and cow. Oh my God, oh my God. Eve was she just can't handle animals. She just can't. She'd actually seen them hanging around those weird and little bit fascinating stone ruins. Towering rumble places that had been castles or forts. A good place for armies of farm animals to plot their revolt. Yes! They're gonna plot their revolt. They're gonna rise up against the people who feed them. She'd even seen clothes hanging on lines like executed prisoners. It was 2060, for God's sakes. Don't people here own drying units? Get some clothespins. Put the clothes on the clothespins and get air fresh dried. Save the electricity. And speaking of that, where was all the air traffic? She barely spotted a handful of air trams and not a single ad blimp lumbered overhead. Oh, God forbid. There's no ad blimps in farm country. Hello. How are you? She missed New York. She missed rabid cabs. She missed the cursing. She missed the horn blowing. She missed the traffic. Not at all. She was a cop sworn to protect and serve, so she could hardly get behind the wheel on one of these death trap roads where she'd probably end up mowing down innocent civilians. She wondered if they'd ever get where they were going and what the odds were of getting there in one piece. Watch the road. Don't look at me. Look at the road. Except it's not really road. It's a track. What are these damn bushes and why are they here? They're fuchsia. That made her think of blood splatter. They ought to move them away from the stupid road. I imagine they were here first, Roarke says. Ireland wound through his voice a lot more appealingly than the road wound through the countryside. She remembered they nearly died together a few weeks ago, and he'd been badly wounded, she thought. She still remembered the breathless instant when she thought she lost him, and he was here alive and whole, so maybe she'd forgive him for being amused at her expense. And he is! He's having a really, really good time, because she is so massively uncomfortable, and her uncomfortableness is funny. So he announces we are nearly there. And they talk about the beginnings, and there's a tale. Excuse me. Yes, ma'am. What? What? Was that your walk? And she likes his family. They work farm, they run shops, they tend homes. Families go to a pub for a pint, and it's community. They live a simple life. And Eve is like, I'd be bored in 10 seconds. I'm just not suited for this country life. Yes, ma'am. Can I help you? Do you want tail? What? We're urban creatures, you and I, but I can appreciate those who make this their own way, value, support, and community. Community! Family! So they get there, and she's like, "Come in and have a seat. We'll have some tea and biscuits, and we're having a holiday. He can have a biscuit. Yay! The kid can have another biscuit." um, I was wondering if you've got your stunner. Oh, wait a minute. This is the kid. This little kid wants to be a cop when he grows up. Or at least he thinks he wants to be a cop right now. And he said, "I wonder if you've got your stunner." "Why? Somebody need to go down?" He grinned. "My sister, if you wouldn't mind." "What's the offense?" "She's a girl. That should be enough." She knew the gist of the meaning from Roarke's use of the word when he lapsed into native slang. "Not New York, Ace. The city's full of gits." "I think I'll be a cop and blast the bad guys." "How many you've blasted?" "Bloodthirsty little boy." Eve thought she liked him. "No more than my share. Putting them in the cage is more satisfying than blasting them." "Why?" "It lasts longer." "Well, now, I'll blast them first, then put him in a cage." When she laughed, he shot at another grin. "We don't get bad guys around here, and that's a pity. Maybe I'll come to New York again, and you can show me some of yours." "Maybe." "That'll be frosted," he said. Then, the minute he did, someone plopped down beside her and pushed a fresh pint into her hand. "Seamus," she identified, Sinead's oldest son, pretty sure. "So, how are you finding Ireland?" "Yes. Can I help you?" We went east from New York, green, with a lot of sheep, a lot of beer. Every shepherd deserves a pint of the evening. You've made my mother very happy taking this time to come. Be with family. She thinks of Rourke as her own now, in her sister's place. What you're doing here for her and for him, it matters. It doesn't take much an effort to sit around and drink good beer. He patted her thigh. It's a long way to travel for a pint. Added to it, you've thrilled my boy to pieces. Sorry? My Sean, who isn't just interrogating you. Oh, it's hard to figure who's who. Sure it is. Since we visited you last year, he's given up his dream of being a space pirate in favor of being a cop and blasting bad guys for a living. He mentioned it. Truth be known, he's wishing desperately for a murder while you're about. Something gruesome and mysterious. Get a lot of those around here? The last I recall was when Mrs. O'Reilly broke her husband's head with a skillet when he once again came home pissed and smelling of another woman's perfume. I suppose it was gruesome enough, but not altogether mysterious. That would be about a dozen years back. Not much action in the area for a murder cop. Sadly for Sean, no. He likes to follow your cases, searching at tidbits on his computer. The Hollow Games gave him endless shrills. Oh, we have a parental lock on, so he didn't get the juicier details, but the rest of the family did. So let's see, they talk some more. And Rourke wants to spend they want Rourke to go into the field. Into the farm fields? Eve says. I enjoy it. I've never driven a tractor. I hope you say the same when we're dragging you out of bed at 6:30. He doesn't sleep. He hardly sleeps. Rourke goes down for 2 hours, he's fine. He's like a droid, Eve says. Sinead laughed, opened the door to their bedroom. Well, I hope you'll be comfortable for the time you have. And they get into the bedroom, and there's no TV in the bedroom. It's just a bedroom. There's no air traffic. There's no horn blinking or honking. It's so massively quiet, and Eve can't stand it. So, her and Rourke have some time together, and I just finished with this a minute ago, but we'll just go back over it quickly. There's no screen. No screen? Seriously, what kind of place is this? The place where people use bedrooms for sex and sleep, which is exactly what I have in mind. And they get into the bed and it squeaks, and she doesn't want to be with him because the bed squeaks. Because if the bed squeaks when they're doing it, then the whole house is going to know they're doing it. And it doesn't bother Rourke, but it bothers her immensely. And then in the morning, a rooster goes off. She woke in the grave, shot straight up in bed. What was that? Did you hear that? Naked, she leaped out of bed to grab the clutch piece she left on the side table. There it is again. What language is that? From the bed, Rourke shifted. I believe it's known as a rooster. Are you kidding me? No, not a bit. It's morning alas, and the cock signaling the dawn. A cock? I'd say, I don't think Sinead and her man want you to stun their rooster. But I have to say, Lieutenant, you're making a fascinating picture. Jesus, we may well be on another planet. And if your thing gets any ideas about signaling the day, remember I've got a weapon. I just love it. So then Eve specifically, once she learned that they were going to so the next day or later that day, Eve is trying to direct Rourke to a certain spot. And she's having a little trouble directing him to this spot because she wants to show him what she did. She did it with Sinead. They talk about the tractor, and he was like, well, it's bigger than a horse. She remembered the speed and power of the hologram horse and thought she might, but she had a different agenda for the moment. They're bigger than cows. They don't look weird. There is that. He glanced around and her nerves started to jingle. Are you after another picnic? It's a perfect place for it. You like it? It's charming. He took her hand and caught the scent of field on him, the green of it. Want to push on the swing? Maybe. Neither of us got much of that, didn't we, when we were children? I didn't realize there was a park here, a nice spot, near enough to the village, and just out enough to make it an adventure. The trees are young, so I suppose it's new, and still being done. He added, noting the digging equipment and top supplies. Yeah, but it still needs some work. She guided him around, and subtly as she could, beyond the little house to the gurgling fountain. A fine day like this, I'm surprised it's not packed with kids. It's not officially open for business. All to ourselves? Uh, Sean's along with us. He'd likely enjoy a romp through. Yeah, maybe. She thought he'd look at the fountain, but should have known he'd be more interested in the equipment, probably speculating on what was left to be done. So there's this thing. Huh? Geez, frustrated, she turned him around and all but shoved his face into the plaque on the fountain. The Siobhan Brody Memorial Park, dedicated by her son. And I hate those kind of things. Because as a genealogist, I want the plaque to say, Siobhan Brody Memorial Park, dedicated by her son, Roarke. It's just like the other day, I was doing this genealogy thing, and I was talking about, in the olden days, I was transcribing wills. And it was like, my beloved wife and my darling children. And I'm like, would it have hurt you to say my darling wife, Mary? Or my darling children, John, Jerry, Joe, and Jack? Would it have hurt you? Well, he said nothing. She shoved her hands in her pockets. So, happy anniversary a few days early. He looked at her just stared at her with those wonderful wild blue eyes. He just said her name. Eve. I got the idea when the Irish invaded last fall and walked it by Sinead. She and the rest of them ran with it. Mostly I just sent money. Hell, your money, since it's what you dumped in that account for me when we got married. So, Eve. So it's good. He didn't speak for a moment, only ran his hand up and down her back. What a woman ye are. That you would think of this, that you would do this. Sinead and the rest did the heavy lifting. I can't thank you enough. There isn't enough thanks. I can't say what this means to me, even to you. I don't have the words for it. You stagger me. Well, you're a simple guy. I've come to know her a little through the family. This would mean a great deal to her, a safe place for children to play, for families to come, young people sitting on the grass doing schoolwork, listening to music, practicing on the football pitch. I don't know why they call it a pitch when it's a football, which isn't actually football at all, but killer soccer. It's not baseball, that's for sure. People over here don't have two clues about real baseball, which is just too bad for them. He laughed, took her hand, gave it a swing. We should call the rest in and you can show me around? Sure. And they have the rest of the family come in. So she does end up helping. She does end up finding a murdered victim, and they. She has the guy solve. She talks the guy through solving the case. He was in Novice. So anyway, she gets home, back to New York, back to where she feels safe. It was good to be home. Driving downtown to Cop Central through ugly traffic, blasting horns, hyping ad blimps, belching maxi buses, just put her in a cheerful mood. Vacations were great, but to Eve's mind, New York had it all and a bag of soy chips. The temperature might have been brutal as a tax audit with sweaty waves of heat bouncing off concrete and steel, but she wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. She rode up the elevator for the garage, shuffling over as more cops squeezed in every floor. When she felt the oxygen supply depleting, she pried her way out. It smelled like home, where cops should be. She stepped off, angled toward homicide, and spotted Jenkinson, one of her detectives, studying the offerings of vending with a hopeless expression. Detective, he brightened slightly. Hey, Lieutenant, good to see you. He looked as if he'd slept in his clothes for a couple of days. You pull a double? Caught one late, me and Reinecke. Just wrapping up. Vic was in a bar over on Avenue A getting himself a lap dance. Guy comes in, starts in, and the girl doing the lap dance is his ex, and they get into a little scuffle. And they talk some more. Good work. Do you want me to take you off the roll? Nah, we'll grab a couple hours in the crib and then we'll be good to go. She gets to her office, programs her auto chef, which she is slowly learning about. Slowly progressing. It's packed with other things besides just coffee. She heard the muffled clump that was Peabody's summer air boots and glanced up as her partner stepped into the open doorway. Welcome home. How was it? Was it just mag? It was good. Peabody's square face spotted as a little sun kiss, which reminded Eve her partner had taken a week off with her squeeze, Electronics Detective Division Ace McNabb. She had her dark hair pulled into a short but jaunty tail and wore a thin buff-colored jacket over cargo trousers. It looks like D.S. Monahan kept everything solid while I was gone. Sure does. So what did you get? A pile of reports. No, come on, for your anniversary. I know Roarke had to come up with something total. Come on. And she shows Peabody all the gadgets she got and how plain looking they are. And Peabody's like, oh, okay. But then she shows Peabody what they can do. And then Peabody is like impressed. She's like, you know how my car that Roarke got me that he just made me take as a favor? And he made it so bland looking, but it's got all those extras. Well, all the stuff he gave her has extras. It's nice. Give me a second. Hey, it's you. Mouth dropping, Peabody jerked her head up. It's got a microcom in it. That's pretty mag. Usually they're all fuzzy, but this is real clean. Nanocom. You know how the vehicle's rigged for me to look ordinary? Ordinary leaning towards ugly, but nobody gives it a second thought or knows that it's loaded. Same deal? And, Peabody pulled out her link. Is that you? It's got full communication capability. It's a wrist unit that size. Not only that, it's got navigation, full data capabilities, total data and communication. He programmed it with all my stuff. If I had to, I could access files on it. Waterproof, shatterproof, voice command capabilities, etc. And Peabody wants to play with it. And he was like, no, you can't touch, no. And, so then they get called to a case. And they go to see, after they take care of the case, they go to forensics to see Dick Berensky. And Mr. Berensky is extra, extra happy. Um, uh, she's like, did you get bashed on the head recently? He's like, what? Never mind. They discuss a little case, and then they're leaving. And, uh, Eve glances at Peabody and says, what's up with that? It's like that vid with the people in the pods and the dupes. Oh, that's a scary one. It's sort of like that. He's in love. What with? Who? Peabody said. Apparently he met somebody a few weeks ago and he's in love. He's happy. A little while later, she tagged Cherio in the PA's office. How was your vacation? Eve resigned herself to answering the question all day. Good. Listen, I caught a case. Already? Then, let's see. Then she goes home. She walks in the front door with Somerset materialized in the foyer like a fog over a headstone, bony and black with the fat cat at his feet. He gave I the beady eye. Your first day back and you managed to come home without dripping blood on the floor. Shall I open champagne to commemorate? Skip it, because I think about dripping blood on the floor, but it's always yours. Insults exchanged, she thought as she headed upstairs with the cat patting after her, she was officially home. And she's talking to the cat and says, I think you've gained weight. You're a disgrace. You're like a cat and a half in one package. No giving me the look, pal. You're officially on a diet. Maybe we'll get you one of those pet workout things. He'll just sleep on it, Roarke says. Would you do a treadmill? You could use one. We could hang food at the end of it so he can't get it until he puts in the time. He was always big boned, Roarke said with a smile. He's got more pudge than he had when we left. Somerset spoiled him. Probably, but we always do. Look how he's cozying up to you. I was talking about a diet and exercise. He doesn't want to hear it. He missed them. They exchanged pleasantries about their day, and she's like, what planet did you buy? Which would you like? I like Saturn. It's got pizzazz. I'll see what I can do. I thought you were going to stop wearing many clothes. They frown unless at global business meeting. Do they now? And they get a little closer. And, she gets another case. And it was at Coney Island's House of Horrors. And he takes her on a tour and she's like, muff you. But after that, where is it? 109. Roarke leaves her. He calls for a car for himself, and he lets Eve and Peabody take his vehicle. A fancy vehicle that they had arrived in. The minute she spotted the car, Peabody wiggled her hips and swung her arms in the air. Hot diggity damn. Stop that. It's so pretty. It's so sexy. It's so frosty. It's so Roarke. Keep it up and you'll be taking public transportation to the village. I'll be good. Especially good if we can have this top down. Can we please? You're embarrassing yourself. Eve uncoated the locks. Not even close. All smooth and shiny. She purred as she stroked the fingertips along the hood. Your ass will be all smooth and shiny when I'm finished kicking it. I'm putting the top down. Eve snarled and pointed finger cut off Peabody's squeal. It came out more as a peep. Because it's hot and because the wind will blow away some of your idiocy. She turned on the car. Ooh, it sounds like a lion just fed. How do you know what a lion that's just fed sounds like? I watch nature shows. because you never know when you're going to have to track down a lion in Midtown, she says. If you finish with your vehicular orgasm, see if you can do this investigation piece. Then later on, she goes to see Feeney, and she wants to get a report from him. And Feeney glanced away and says, "Kid, can't you catch anything normal? Freaking bayonets and crossbows keeps me from getting bored. Rich people get bored. Working stiffs don't have a time." uh so then McNabb comes in and they're talking. Where is it now? Feeney's, because they're doing, Roarke comes in too, and Feeney's like, "Taught her everything she knows," Feeney said to Roarke. "Nice play." He's proud because they were doing something with the case. Alright, so then we all know how Eve is not good with social situations, right? Well, that's why next week you have to tune in for this book, because it's the first chapter is a doozy. So Eve initiates her own social situation. It's a first for Eve. Really, seriously. Morris went through a lot. Coltrane got murdered and promises in death, and he's recovering slowly. And she's talking to Morris, and she's doing all this stuff, and then she turns to him and she says, "Listen, Morris, maybe you could come over for a dinner or something. You know Roarke could play with that grill he got last year. We could do a summer deal, some friends over cow meat. I'd like that." "Well, I'll fix it up, let you know." And then she tells Charles that she calls Charles Monroe and says she's going over. And they're cooking. They're physically cooking. "We're having breakfast. Charles is cooking, really cooking. His omelets are incredible. So you'll eat with us while you talk to Charles." Louise walked her back to the kitchen as she spoke. Charles stood over the stove, shaking a skillet back and forth. "Just in time," he said. "Have a seat." "Is your auto chef broken?" "I like to cook when there's time and reason." You gotta love it. Okay. So then she hangs out with Charles and Louise. And let's see what this thing on Roarke is. Eve lays down in her office for 30 minutes down to get a nap. And she locks the door and everything. Of course, Roarke, the ultimate lockpicker. Minutes later, Roarke bypassed her locks and stepped in to find her, face down on the floor, he thought, sprawled out like the dead she stood for. He thought surely there was a better place for a nap, but re-engaged the locks before stretching up beside her, and he fell asleep too for 30 minutes. The two of them slept. Let's see. So then, later on in the day, they go, later on, she's with Eve, Peabody. They're walking down the sidewalk. They walk down to the street level and half the block to the shoe boutique. As they pass the display window, Peabody let out a distinctive yummy noise. "Don't do that, for God's sake. You're a cop on a homicide investigation, not some tourist window shopping. But look at the blue ones with the little silver heels with the little butterflies." Eve gave the shoes a narrowed stare. 10 minutes on the feet, 2 hours in traction. And Peabody just makes ooh and ahs and other sounds over the shoes when she sees them. And the guy got the memo. Those are always fun. Then later on, uh, she gets she's a little on the tired side, and she gets knifed in Cobb Central. We'll just skip that. Um, what's this one? One. She's back in the office. Once again, the shift was changing as she passed through the bullpen. She spotted Baxter just pushing back from his desk. Here early, here late. What have you done with Baxter? Ha ha, just finished the case from this morning. PA dealt it down to man one, but it's closed. Report's on its way to you. Good enough. Sent the boy home. He's dating the cutie in records. But we're clear if you need more hands on your double. I'll let you know. Heard you took a little slice, he said with a nod toward her arm. Word travels. Oh, and I sent you the monthly eval on Chuha. He's going to make a good detective. Needs a little more time, but if you give me the green light, I'm going to tell him to start boning up for the exam. That's a pretty fast track, Baxter. He's quick, unless you're talking about with women, he grinned. He's got good instincts and he thinks through. Plus, the kid's got me for a trainer. How can he lose? I'll look over the eval and think about it. He's made for homicide, Baxter said. Because he looks at a DB and sees a person. We can forget, just see the case. You know how it is, but he doesn't. And not just because he's still a little green. He's wired that way. This is his place. That's why I'm saying if you figure he needs more time in uniform, I'll think it over, Eve says. Baxter and Chewat, who'd have thought? Some would have seen it as an odd pairing, the slick, often brass detective and the shy, sweet-natured rookie. She hadn't, and that's why she'd assigned Chewat as Baxter's aide. She believed they'd complement each other and that Baxter's style would ripen and toughen the rook. It had, but the partnership had also softened. Wasn't the word she thought. Maybe opened was better word. It had opened Baxter. He'd always been a solid, smart-mouthed, competent, and in her own opinion, mostly out for number one. But Trueheart had changed all that. So now they were much more partners than trainer and aide. They understood each other, communicated with and without words. They trusted each other. A cop couldn't go through the door with a partner unless there was absolute trust. A man didn't kill with a partner unless there was absolute trust, knowledge, understanding, and the common goal. What was the common goal? To solve the case. Friendship, she thought, took all kinds of form and formed for all kinds of reasons, but they stuck. And then she talks to Mavis, but her talk to Mavis is about the case, so we'll leave that. So then she's home and she's had a coffee. And she was thinking of, she's with Roarke, and she's like remembering her conversation with Morris. And she said, I sort of said how we might have a thing, with that big ass grill of yours and people. Roarke lifted the bottle of wine he'd opened. You want me to grill people? Only some people, but that should be done privately. Just a half a glass for me. You're after having a cookout. I'm not really after it, but I saw Morris this morning and he looked so damn sad. And I said something about it before I actually thought about it. Then I forgot about it till I smelled the steak. You're a good friend, Eve. I don't know how the hell it happened. Saturday evening, I guess, unless there's always an unless, but as we'll be entertaining cops or those associated with it, it's a given for all. You're okay with that? Eve, I know this continues to astound and baffle you, but I actually like to socialize. Roarke is a socialization person. I know, if it wasn't for that, you'd be perfect. When he laughed, she walked over, lifted the plate. God, that really does smell good. I'm getting the boost and I haven't even eaten it yet. Let's see what happens when you do. Then they talk about her accident, her little scrape and homicide. And I like her little. They're talking about what happened in Central, and she's like, "It's Major Ketchup in the bathroom with a laser scalpel." Okay. And our last one. Eve turned toward the bullpen at Homicide as Baxter and Chewhart walked up. "You've got Patricia Lotta looking for you," Baxter told her. "We put her in the lounge." "Huh?" Word spreads fast. "It does. Such as looking forward to Saturday." "Appreciate the invitation, Lieutenant," Chewhart added. "Right. Good. Peabody." "Listen, Chewhart's too shy to ask, but I'm not. Can the boy bring a date?" "I don't care," Eve says, as Chewhart turned light pink and hunched his broad shoulders. "I guess that means you want to bring a date, too." "Actually, no. A date means I'd have to pay attention to somebody, and it's going to be all about me, brew and cow meat." And I think uh, then she talks to Charles, and he says, "I just sent you an email. We're looking forward to Saturday night." "Saturday night, right, right. And this isn't about asking if we can bring potato salad." "No, no." And then she talks the case with him. And while Eve likes to jockey for street level parking that she doesn't have to pay for, Rourke, on the other hand, likes to park in private lots. He pulled into a private underground lot, the sort she and Principal refused to pay for. "You could have had a street spot." "Live a little, darling. There's a place a few blocks from here. It's nice evening for a walk, and I can guarantee the pizza's excellent." She looked at him. "You own it." "Since my wife tends to live on pizza half the time, it seems a good idea to have a spot close to home that serves exceptional pie." "I guess this was a pretty good idea," Eve decided. "I cleared your head. Sorry, eye ache." And he paused, selected a pie in a bold red and blue from the sidewalk display. He passed the price to the merchant, handed the flowers to Eve while the cart operator's voice soared in an Italian aria. It was damn nice moment, Eve thought. A damn nice moment in New York. "I guess this makes it a date." He laughed. "Now it's a date." He gave her a kiss. A half block down, he showed her to a little sidewalk table outside a bustling pizzeria. "You booked ahead. It pays to be prepared. I also ordered ahead so they'll know what to bring us. Now that I've told you about my day, you can tell me about yours." And our final uh, this is the morning, and she's with Peabody, and she's waiting to go out with Peabody. When they went downstairs 15 minutes later, Somerset stood dressed in his habitual and spotless black suit. Eve wondered if he slept in it like a vampire in a coffin, but she refrained from saying so as he held a tray with 2 to-go cups and a bag that smelled like cinnamon bagels. "Perhaps at some point in the future the two of you might consider actually living here." "In this dump," Eve said. Snagged a coffee before he could change his mind. Rourke took the other coffee and the bag. "Thank you. If you'd contact Caro, she can handle the 8 o'clock Carla. I'll be in touch with her if anything else needs to be shifted. Of course, perhaps I suggest you put police assistant on your official bylaw." Well, that was just mean. "Maybe I need a Somerset." God, did I just say that? "I hesitate to point out you have a Somerset. He just provided her with coffee and bagels." "I don't want to think about it. I'll drive. You can start being Peabody and find out who owns the house that we're going to." And then the rest of it, most of it is case. So we won't go there. So please tune in next week for the barbecue. And don't forget unboxing tomorrow, and flashback Mondays, and my daily book reviews, and of course Star Trek Next Generation recaps, or Star Trek Voyager recaps on Friday. And if you like this book, you might like that book. And of course, my daily book reviews. Have a good one.